I am the Philosophical Bachelor, and today I'm going to talk about what is Zen. While Suzuki Daisetz Teitaro's legacy is troubled by how he connected Zen to Japan's nationalistic efforts during the Second World War, he is also known as the man who brought Zen Buddhism to the West. In an introduction to Zen Buddhism, D.T. Suzuki explains the fundaments of Zen, presenting it not so much as a religion, but a way of truth through spirituality. Zen began in the 6th century AD in China as a development within Mahayana Buddhism. In China, it is known as Chan Buddhism, which is a transliteration of the Sanskrit word dhyana, meaning meditation. Chan later spread to Japan, where it became known as Zen, with the Japanese tradition developing its own characteristics. Zen claims direct transmission from the Buddha, when Gautama Buddha held up a flower to a gathering of students without uttering a word, and only Kasyapa understood in the flower sermon. That silent transmission of insight is regarded as the beginning of Zen. Zen therefore emphasizes direct experience over textual authority. Studying the sutras and sastras are de-emphasized, even rubbished, though a good master is needed to help his disciples reach Satori. Scripture may guide, but awakening must be immediate and personal. Zen does not rely on concepts. It is not a philosophy, theology, or ethical system according to Suzuki. It is instead experiential, aiming to enable its practitioners to have a direct insight into the nature of one's own being and reality as it actually is. It involves a transformation of one's consciousness through the discipline and training of one's mind. It is not concerned with doctrine or metaphysical speculation, but is a practice, a way of life that seeks direct realization, an awakening or satori, often translated as enlightenment in Japanese. It does so by breaking through reasoning, since logical thought cannot grasp ultimate reality because reality is not fragmented into concepts the way our thought is. Words are unable to adequately capture the reality of what it represents. For instance, the word Zen completely fails to tell us what Zen is. My name is useful to indicate me in a crowd, but its 2 syllables do not describe anything about me at all. Zen is practical, concerned with life as lived. Everyday actions of eating, walking, and working can all be expressions of Zen when experienced rightly, more so than concepts, doctrines, and even sacred texts and religious authorities. Zen masters have dismissed scriptures, mocked metaphysical claims, and even spoke irreverently of Buddha. However, Suzuki argues that Zen is not nihilistic. It does not negate for the sake of negating. Instead, it is a higher affirmation. Zen negates false attachments in order to reach a more profound affirmation of reality. By denying fixed conceptual forms, Zen aims to free the mind to encounter reality directly. The apparent destruction of meaning is actually the destruction of illusion. Once illusions are cleared away, the world reappears as vivid, alive, and immediate. Suzuki cites Zen literature. Before a man studies Zen, mountains are mountains to him and waters are waters. But when he obtains a glimpse into the truth of Zen through the instruction of a good master, mountains are no longer mountains, nor waters waters. Later, however, when he has really reached the place of rest, that is, has attained Satori, mountains are again mountains and waters, waters. While the mountains and waters in the disciples' pre-Zen and post-Satori periods are ostensibly the same, they are yet not the same. Rather, they have always been what they are, but the disciple is now able to view it as it is in its essence, while prior to his practice, he may have been viewing it through the distortion of his intellect. If this seems contradictory, paradoxical, or even absurd, this is deliberate. Zen appears irrational. A monk asks if a dog has Buddha nature. The master replies, Wu. Wu means emptiness in Chinese. It may even sound like woof, the sound a dog makes. It can also mean no, but we know from other Buddhist teachings that all living things have Buddha nature. So why would the master reply that the dog does not have Buddha nature? To begin with, why would the monk even ask such a question since he already knows that all living things have Buddha nature? Is he trying to test his master? Does the master not know that all living things have Buddha nature? Since the master does know that the answer is yes, why then does he reply in the negative? Is he returning the challenge to his student who challenged him first? Is he being humorous, making the woof sound in a comedic moment, and is not to be taken seriously? Or if not, what is he even saying no to? Is he rejecting the Buddha nature of the dog, or is he rejecting the question altogether, saying that such inquiry is empty of any meaning, that the disciple should work on his own Buddha nature instead of worrying whether dogs have it, if indeed he is genuinely worried instead of being merely disingenuous? Such answers seem to defy logical explanation if taken at face value. But as my exposition has shown, there is a lot more going on that is not captured by logical analysis. Logic dichotomizes reality into dualistic oppositions, such as subject or object, good or evil, self or other, or even nirvana or samsara. The intellect works through differentiation, which, while a useful simplification for intellectual understanding, may prove inadequate for a true understanding of reality. You are different from me in the sense that you have a different name, parents, nationality, and age, but you may also be rather similar to me in the sense that you are a human being, that if pricked you will bleed, that you want to feel love, happiness, and so on. Why then should we focus on our differences when they are not any more important than our similarities? Zen attempts to break the tyranny of a discriminating consciousness through its use of paradox, which shocks the mind into stillness. In that stillness, a new way of seeing may arise. Its core practices include meditation or zazen, koan study and contemplation, monastic discipline and mindfulness in the regular conduct of life. Monastic life for Zen monks is one of rigorous discipline. It is structured, simple, and labor-intensive. Physical work is not separate from spiritual life. Work itself becomes practice. Meditation is not for the contemplation of doctrines, but direct sitting or zazen in order to still the mind and allow thoughts to fall away. But even zazen is not dogmatic. Sitting can just be sitting. That may even be the core of the practice, such as in the Soto school of Zen, where sitting is not thinking, not focusing on anything at all, including even the act of sitting, but simply just sitting, just being. Its aim is Satori. Zen does not promise heaven or metaphysical rewards. It promises clarity. The Rinzai school of Zen, which Suzuki belongs to, adds the contemplation of koans to zazen. A koan is a paradoxical statement, question, or story used in Zen training. Koans are not riddles with logical answers, but are instead tools to exhaust rational thought. The student meditates intensely on the koan, only to realize that his logical analysis is doomed to fail. From there, a breakthrough may occur. The koan blocks the habitual functioning of the intellect, forcing the practitioner into direct confrontation with the limits of reasoning. When the breakthrough occurs, the answer is not conceptual but existential. The student responds not with explanation but with demonstration, not with an answer but with an experience. While Zen literature is rich with stories and responses toward the koans, Suzuki tells us that copying is slavery. The letter must never be followed. Only the spirit is to be grasped. Zen Master Gutai's typical response to questions is to lift his finger. His disciple imitated this when asked by others what his master's teachings are. When Gutai learned of this, he cut off his disciple's finger. Blind copying will not do. Even the highest authorities and the most sacred scriptures must not be accepted on faith, but must be challenged and personally understood by each believer in order for it to have any value. Just like we cannot depend on another to eat, sleep, or defecate for us, we must each realize the truth for ourselves. Just like how another person doing those activities do not help us to become nourished, rested, or detoxed, they also cannot become enlightened on our behalf. Satori is the heart of Zen. It is a sudden awakening, a new viewpoint of direct insight into one's true nature. It is not a gradual intellectual understanding, but an immediate experience, often triggered unexpectedly by a sound, a sight, or a word, such as the murmur of a brook, the scent of flowers, a master's shout, or even his blow. The trigger may seem trivial, but the awakening is profound. What is this true nature? It is the non-dual nature of reality, where things may be differentiated, but are not only different, but also interrelated, or in Buddhist parlance, dependently originated. Since everything is connected, there is no need for one to be egoistic. After Satori, the individual is not transported elsewhere. There is nowhere to go. She continues living in this world, but sees the world now with fresh eyes, the result of a paradigm change in her way of thinking. Suzuki stresses that Satori cannot be described adequately in words because it is beyond language. Yet paradoxically, he and other Zen masters write books and teach with words. However, their teaching is akin to a finger pointing at the moon. Their teachings are not the moon. They only direct our gaze in the right direction, but it is us who have to see the moon. If instead we get caught up with looking at the finger instead of the moon, that would be a calamity, a tragic failure. Zen is not a doctrine to be believed, but a transformation to be undergone. It is a path of self-emptying and rediscovery, of breaking through illusion and returning to the simplicity of mountains are mountains. Thank you for listening to the Philosophical Bachelor.